This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ12. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ12 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
It can happen for anyone. I just figured out faster than most. I just figured out that when you look within and self-reflect, you pretty much have a lot of the answers you need when you're not seeking external validation, internal validation.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, Ron Tillman, and you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. Speaking of victory, walk.
Warning! This is a public service announcement. The Walk in Victory podcast is where we have conversations purposed to evolve lives. You may not want to evolve. Then tune into another bleeping podcast. Everyone else, enjoy the show. And here's our host.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening and or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, Ron Tillman, and you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. Speaking of victory walks, I did a few years ago when I first started the podcast. I was approached by Listenable, which is an online teaching component, and they wanted me to do a course on anything that I chose to do a course on. And this is my first time being approached by another agency seeking my expertise. And if you was to ask me to do a course on a lot of things, I can do a course on, because when I really get my hands into something, I sink them in and I really learn everything about it. That's just the way that I am. And although I've done a lot over my 50 years, in September I will be 50 years old, I've recognized the symmetry or the synergy in all of the things that I've done. So my first passion was music, and then it became business, and then ministry, and and now mindfulness, mindset, yoga, all those things. But I've learned now, I used to segment my business life from my spiritual life. Like everything had their own jar, and I would pick those jars up and move them around as it was necessary to me. I had to learn over the course of time that all of my experiences are really suitable for whatever it is that I'm involved in. So you don't have to say, let me pick up my music hat. Because they're all conducive, because business only runs on 5 different metrics. So I don't care if you're a musician, you still have to learn those 5 metrics. If you're going to be a musician that understands business, or if you're going to be like Tony Braxton, TLC, complains years later that, oh, I didn't know they took all my money. No, they didn't take your money. You gave it away. That's a whole nother podcast for another day. I did a series called The Mindful Marketer. Because one day I was sitting down, I was like, I was excited. I was like, oh, they want me to do a class. And then I was like, okay, but no, what am I going to do a class on? Do I do a class on spirituality or yoga, Reiki? Like, what am I going to talk about? And in my meditation, I came up with the Mindful Marketer. And it's a course that shows people how to engage with their customer through mindful activities, what they call a customer avatar. So when you build a customer avatar, you're thinking about your ideal customer. But what I did is I took that avatar experience to another level, and I said, let's just meditate on who are we serving. And if we spend 15 minutes a day for 5 days thinking about who you're serving, and then start to profile them. But we don't want to profile them from what it is that we're given. We want to profile them from their needs and their assessments. Because if we can understand the needs and assessments of customers, then so imagine if you did that, if you're a business owner and you did that for 4 weeks, 15 minutes a day, and you don't just have one customer. So 1 week you decide single family mom, whatever, you've got to be very specific. And you think about their needs. And then you say, oh, somebody who just bought a house, family, 2 kids, you think about their needs. And you start to go, and for me, I was using construction because that was my first business as the baseline.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Owning a boat comes with a number of perks, like being able to say, ahoy, or land ho, and not feel weird about it. So here's another perk. Geico's boat insurance offers access to the largest towing fleet on the water. And with specialist support from agents that are as passionate about boating as you are, there's so much value that you'll want to say, shiver me timbers, and not feel weird about that either. Get more with Geico.
But if you do that, what happens is you start to gain sensitivities, and innately in your subconscious, you start to build answers to their questions, and in your content, you start to answer those questions. One of the reasons why a lot of business fails is because they either we're too vague, where we think that our stuff is for everyone, or we don't really overly think our avatars or our customers, because we have more than one customer. So it's lazy to say, oh, my shit is for everybody. Like, it's not for everybody. And then it's to, they say, oh, I got one customer avatar, 18 through 35 and male in the urban area. Yeah, but let's just think a little bit deeper. So mindset and marketing are really, really deeply related, but it's not being taught on that level where you can use our thinking in order to really, really dive deep into the tentacles of your customer. Like I said, it's like businesses follow movements, but in each of those movements, it becomes deeper. When I moved from commercial real estate commercial construction to residential home improvement, because there is two different categories. The basis was the same. I still had the same hammers. I had the same truck. I had all of the same things. But when I made a proposal, the language was different. And I came from a commercial space trying to do languaging in a home improvement space. And I had in business will shoot you fast. I had to learn quickly how to adjust the language model. And we're going to talk about mindset, because that is a mindset thing. You can't force your customers to think the way that you think. You have to think like them. But we're also going to talk about how mindset works in marketing with our guest, Jodi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to chat about that. Yes.
Yeah,
Taking in
so
all the nuggets because
should I call you Jodi K, or should I just say Jodi?
Jody's fire. I think my mom calls me Jody K when
Your
I
mom.
travel, and I'm 35, so it's like she'll still try. And I'm like, wow, I
Jodi.
will live with it.
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining on our show. I took 7 minutes. You can tell the audience about yourself, dive into what I discussed. The floor is yours. I'll be silent and I'll listen.
Oh my gosh. Hello, everyone. My name is Jodi Edwards. I am a NLP, Neurolinguistic Programming Certified Business Coach and Brand Manager for creatives and CEOs. And I love how we open this because I'm really big on that, understanding that just we have to have this level of situational leadership, right? Whether we're trying to build a team or build a business, build a brand, build a community. So we can't have the same way of talking to everyone. We can't have the same, understanding or think that everyone's going to understand us. So how do we communicate that? So I'm really big on messaging and I'm really big on alignment. And so we can definitely jam on that more, but that's just like a little bit about me. I was born in Jamaica, moved to America. My whole brand today is like part of my journey. So I'm used to being in different rooms and speaking to different people and just learning about not just like different cultures, but different types of people and how to get them to take action. So long story short, I'm really big into sales psychology and how we can use that to create more impact and income for a brand and our business.
Well, when you talk about sales psychology, because there is a journey, and there is something that happens in the mindset of a purchaser as they're going
Mhm.
through the journey. And I've followed you for since I had the date on my calendar that we would interview, and every morning you give some of your tidbits. But I'm not interested in why you do the tidbits. What I'm more interested in is, how did you come up with understanding the things that you've learned over the course of your career, especially at the age of 35. You have a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you. Yes, it really starts from me being born in Jamaica. That's not just like a boring, like, who's Jodi? Where is she from? Right? It really gave me this contrast that a lot of people don't have the benefit of experiencing. Normally, you go through your normal, like teen, young adult, whatnot trajectory of life. But when you're kind of like plopped in different cultures, you are instantly thrown into different mindsets. So long story short, I experienced a lot of what I didn't want from life.
Yeah.
I experienced a lot of hate, a lot of poverty mindset, a lot of bullying, a lot of just people not understanding me when I came to America and looked different and spoke differently. And so it really started there for me to have to like figure out my own emotions, figure out why I felt that way, and ask myself, is this really what life is? Like, is this all that's left for me? Right. And so I started realizing that it wasn't just the go to school, go do this, go do that, go get a job. I did that. Then I even joined the military. And I did that all so quickly. I consider myself a lifer, like a Jane of all trades, right? So here I am going to the military. already have my bachelor's degree that already put me in like the new area, right? Got out of the military, went back to my 9 to 5 and said, I want a promotion. I'm going to be a human resources manager. Jumped like years ahead of what I was supposed to, skipped the whole 5 to 6 years of being a generalist before being a manager. That put me in new rooms, right? So I was learning and helping CEOs like in my 20s, like my young 20s. And I was like, okay, I'm at the top of my career. I'm like under the age of 25. What's next for me? What's next for someone like me who is a lifer, learning quickly? I'm so big on mastery and just like keeping your head down, getting through it, learning all the facets, right? Not like shortcuts. And that has allowed me to move a lot faster in life. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I can help other people unlock more to life, and this was before ChatGPT. So I know the word unlock isn't super great, but really I was just unlocking levels within myself and in my brain where I was like, you know what? You learned this. What about this? You did that. Now what about that? And so I'd be lying if I didn't say also entrepreneurship and just this startup life came with experiencing financial hardship as well, right? It might sound great, like yeah, getting like $20 plus something an hour back then, which is good, but it was the like, right? I really can't complain, but I had a degree, everything, but I wasn't able to really experience life the way I felt called to, right? So it wasn't like shopping or anything materialistic. It was like, I think, you've probably heard the stories of someone getting sick in their family or someone having to sleep on a couch. I don't have those stories, but it was more like, I want to stay home today and read, or I have this workshop I want to sign up for, but like, I won't be able to get off work. Freedom, right? You said freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I was 17, I met my wife. I'll be 50 years old this year. So my wife is from Trinidad. I grew up in America. I grew up around the West Indian culture. Me and my wife separated for some time, and we were back and forth, whatever. We have 3 kids together. They're happily they're doing our thing now. But I've always seriously dated a Caribbean woman. My family's from the South. One of my employees was like, "Are you from the Caribbean?" The values are different. Now, I'm not downing, stop anybody's listening. I'm not downing anyone else, but the thought process is different because you're coming here to make it. And from what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm gonna make this short. You got your bachelor's, went to college because they say, "Oh, you get an education, you'll make it." Boom, that didn't work. Then you said, "All right, freaking, let me go to the service." "Oh, you go to the service, you'll make it." That didn't work. So what has entrepreneurship lent you when you hear the little girl coming from, and you for all right, I'm about to, you probably get a little mad, but everyone who matriculates from the West Indies, they either speak heavy patois or with the heavy language slang, or they sound like a white woman. But what was a
And now you
white
go to
man?
the left.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BeAndTech. PODKATZ 13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ 13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
So what was it?
Oh, that right. For you to say that, I'm just doing this to all my friends. I'll take that for just like you sound this, and it's fine. But I'm like, maybe it's where I'm from. Don't take that from me.
So what was it for you when you decided, because you made a decision that, I don't know how long you was in the service, you can have a pension for the rest of your life. I don't know how, you got your bachelor's, you could have worked for somebody for the rest of your life. You could honestly be making six figures. But what was it to make you say, I want to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, you honestly already said it. It was just not just the freedom to make more, be more, but it was just there's always this cap, right? There was this cap at being an HR manager. There was this cap in the military. Like you literally have a cap. You only can make so much for your pay grade, right? And so I learned too, like it's okay to offer stack, but by offer stack I mean make what you need to make here, make what you need to make here, and that's etc. But really, to answer the first question even too in this one, I want I created the CEO Chit Chat as a place for other people like me to come together and not just build, but see that your story and see that the impact you're able to make, whatever that is for you, can generate income. Because even for my soul-based entrepreneurs, you're led to do this, you're led to do that. You still have to keep the lights on. You still have to, pay your own bills. And I came from a background of extreme poverty. I say like scraping rice from the pot poverty. I have memories of climbing coconut trees, and that's a beautiful freedom. Nothing poor about that. But it was like there were times where I was hungry. You know what I mean? And knowing what that feels like and just having this idea of coming to America and the American dream, that wasn't it. So I know we touched on that as well too. I needed to set the foundation for life without limits. And this whole idea of getting seen and getting paid, I also was feeling really limited in how I could portray myself. One, with the military, enough said. Two, in corporate, right? So I've got my natural hair out for anyone watching this on video. I remember even back then in my corporate journey, this being like taboo, this being like, oh, you're unkept or messy. And then, of course, the military is always like, it has to fit under your PC. So I've always been a structured but like free spirit person. And I wanted to show people that you can create a life and a business that you love. And that's what I do. I also support high level CEOs. Maybe I'll take a year or two or five or whatnot, to help another CEO, build a personal brand and really build their presence in a way that's authentic to them, because that's something I was blessed to figure out at a young age, is how to show up authentically me, do the things that I like to do, hold those boundaries. So the CEO Chit Chat is really a place for us to talk strategy, yes, and business and brand strategy, but also like my way of doing it. I don't believe in like, oh, I just got off the yacht, man. Like my Lamborghini's in the back. Like I'm so big on, oh, I rented this. Like my friends flew me in on their private jet. Like there's full transparency there, because entrepreneurship does bring some amazing moments. But just the other day, I was like, I don't feel like going to therapy today. Like let's talk about that and how that thought process can maybe affect some of our decisions that we make for ourselves. So yeah, the Chit Chat stands for all parts of me that I want to bring into entrepreneurship and culture, to be like, it's okay to talk about this stuff and still thrive, the freedom to be, literally.
So when you embrace the climbing in the coconut tree, earning your bachelor's degree in America, which is a big feat for the West Indian culture, and I understand that, so I'm not denouncing it, nor am I trying to impart, because girl, you didn't come over here to sit on your ass. You came over here with a purpose, right? And as you started to, you could have stopped at the military, and everyone around you would have been proud. What do you think drove you to push further to say, yeah, besides the freedom, besides, it had to be something innately in you that made you say, you know what, this is great in everyone else's eyesight because this is what they're striving for. I need to push further. What do you think was that, and when did you start to feel it? Like, yeah, I could do
Mhm.
the HR thing, I can do this thing, but I want to impact the world on the level that I'm doing it.
Yeah. Wow. You have such great questions. Honestly, no one's probably gonna like this answer, but I have to. I don't know. I feel like I've always been that way, and
I love that answer.
I can tell you what I do know.
Love that
Yeah,
answer.
it's really just maybe been a part of me. But I can tell you what I know now after being through the journey is that
Okay.
as a woman of faith, I had to be extremely humbled to really see my blessings. I believe in the law of polarity. There's up, down, good, bad, right? We've got God and the devil. And I think that in my journey of getting closer to God, I'm realizing that God was all I needed this entire time. And if I really am to be this soul-led entrepreneur, I think I went through a lot of those trials and tribulations, but I went through it quickly because I've always been obedient. And I'm super grateful for that. And I feel like my purpose is deeper than helping CEOs get seen and get paid. I do feel like there's a side of me that's helping people to get seen for who they authentically are because I was able to be given that gift. And if my purpose is to share my gift and be a light for others, right? It means that maybe I've got some perks. I don't know. Maybe I've got some like little perks of being divinely guided, but really all this to say is it can happen for anyone. I just figured out faster than most. I just figured out that when you
Yeah.
look within and self-reflect, you pretty much have a lot of the answers you need when you're not seeking external validation, internal validation. I can go in the army. I can go do boudoir modeling. I can go climb a coconut tree, or I can go, you know what I mean? I've just been
Yeah,
allowed to
but
be a
so
light.
let's land there for a moment without because this is always a difficult topic to breach
Mhm.
without seeming chauvinistic. Um, you would one would consider a high valued woman. You look good. You make your own money. You can climb a coconut tree. You can probably change a tire, and you can kick some ass. But but when you're walking into a room, if I was just to look at you, I would only see what talk to the female that feels uncomfortable in the room, who may have some curves and things that just came innately, and they feel like they have to dress down or to dumb themselves down in order to fit in a room of chauvinistic old boy mentality. You've been able to calm the line, I've had family that just left the military, got family in the military. There's still an old boys mentality. There's still
Mhm.
the girls can't do it. I know that this is, so you can tread how you want to. When I see you gearing up.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hey, you're
I
right.
just put a high phone real quick, and I was like, "This angle's not cute. Let me sit up." I didn't
No, yeah,
record.
this thing was not cute, but talk about that because we have some women that struggle through this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. These questions are so good. Okay. So from someone who I have to have empathy first because from someone who has had her own body issues and gone through that, but never let that stop her from showing up, there is a point where you have to learn self-mastery to get out of your own way. And again, because I did learn that early on, I can't really fully connect with the stories of like, this kept me out of the room, or I felt this, or I felt that. Like, I did it when I was heavier. I did it with a full face of acne. I was on
Mm.
stage, I was Boomba back then when I was doing a little like musical theater, but I also got to be like, in the Nutcracker and dance next to these like really amazing dancers. So I never counted myself out, which is something I can say ever since I was a little girl. Really, honestly, I didn't understand I was different until moving to America, as sad as that
Got you.
sounds. And
Can
then when people, I've been called a slave, I've been spit at, I've experienced crazy racism. People have like, just certain people have yelled at me, go comb your hair. Like, I'll just be eating at Denny's with my friends. So again, all these experiences, and you see the world differently when you're healed. I don't think I was super healed back then because I went through my relationships and all that, and I still, had some unfavorable moments, but
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
I do really believe that maybe I was born a little bit different than, I guess, the quote unquote average person, because a lot of those things, it's things that I was able to observe from a third point of view. Like, I could look down and see myself. So because I could do that, I could communicate with myself differently. So even though I was extremely depressed, I did have suicidal thoughts when I was younger. I was bullied. I went through hell. I was raped. I've been through a lot. My body has been through a lot. My mind has been through a lot. I have always seen the silver lining, so to speak, because I told myself that, again, in the polarity up, down, good, bad, left, right, I always learned the lesson very quickly. And not to say any of those things were my fault. I don't, blame myself for, having acne or experience of the trauma I experienced, but that's it. I didn't blame myself. How many of us sit and we blame ourselves for things that are out of our control, and we sulk in it. We don't see the lesson in it, and the lesson is really like, how can I love myself a little bit more to blah, 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 whatever that is for you. So for those women who might be feeling a little to this or a little to that, I'm saying feel that, be that, experience that, but then also don't forget that you're closing, like quite literally closing a timeline to where you actually get to be successful over here. While you're in this reality, don't forget that you have to create your future, right? That's a reality you haven't experienced yet. So use where you're at right now to create what you want, or you use where you're at right now to not go in the room because that dress didn't fit. Go, let that person, I've worked with a lot of people that are very direct. Let that person who said something about your hair or your ability to be in the room, even sit at the table, make you feel like you never want to sit at another table again, right? That doesn't make any sense. Don't self-sabotage based off of someone else's experience, someone else's hurt, someone else's pain, right? And I really only got there because I did feel like I'm very sensitive, if you can't tell. So I really only got there by experiencing so much negativity. And I'm not saying I'm not a negative person. There's been times for sure. Again, I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I just saw the negativity in myself. I saw what I didn't like in myself, and I saw what I didn't like in the world. And I was like, there's gotta be, it starts with me, be the change, right? So if I can be the change, I can start to attract something different. But that means I really have to change that. I'll end it there. It goes so much deeper than that, but having that mindset hopefully will help someone make the change.
So on the surface, if no one is listening to this conversation, right? On the surface, what you do every day when you give out your affirmations or your words of confidence or your words of moving forward, no one will tap into, and I really thank you for being vulnerable, right? Just then, right? But no one would tap into that vulnerable side, because they're only seeing a snippet of you. They're only seeing a small portion of what it is that you're presenting now. I can say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you've had those experiences, but you are not those persons. It's like there's two separate entities. But why? But how can you tap into those experiences without being overwhelmed, knowing your mission now? You have a new mission now. Your new mission is to help people like myself become better entrepreneurs. How do you stay connected with the old experiences and being able to be vulnerable, share those stories, and still forge ahead? What part of the military were you in?
I
No,
was a Knights Alpha. I was in Army National Guard
so
multi-years.
they show you how to listen. You got to stay on the mission on
Yeah.
course. But how do you how are you able to navigate from your past, being able to draw lessons from those things, and still help people forge ahead?
Mhm. Yeah, I really believe that wisdom is like a two-part thing. It's one thing to have wisdom, and it's
Yeah.
another thing to really live your life as someone who is wise, right? So a lot of times we hear a lot of things. I always say information without implementation is just what? Information, right? So it I experienced it, I felt it, and I healed it because trauma lives in the body. And if
Yes.
we don't understand that our brain can get sick just like our body, it's mind, body, soul. Mind, body, soul. Like we forget that there's three parts. So if you don't heal the mind, you won't be able to heal the soul. But for us, it's really like the mind and the soul, I feel like that's healing the body. So when you understand like that trifecta, and I speak both to people who believe in God and people who don't believe in God. And there's no judgment there for me. It's not my place to, shove what
Trust.
I believe down anyone's throat. I really just want to showcase also like how it's all connected. Because honestly, for me, when I got closer to myself and stopped being afraid of that person, that meant I was comfortable sitting by myself. It meant I'm comfortable going to the movies by
Mhm.
myself, going out to eat by myself. I left the codependency. It meant I was comfortable looking at myself in the mirror and speaking to myself and dressing a certain way and feeling a certain way. When I got comfortable with myself and closer with myself, I got closer to God. And for some reason, that's the part that I can't seem to really explain, that when I got closer to God, it was like all these answers and clarity. It's almost like I had it within me the entire time. So whether you are praying every day like myself, I at least encourage you to really sit down with yourself and leave all the distractions, because you probably already know the answers. You've just been running from yourself. So you're running from the answers. And so when it comes to like what you asked me of, okay, going through all those things, those traumatic things, and being a new person, that's it. I had to kill the old person. That sounds wild, but I had to kill my ego. I had to have an ego death. That meant that I had to understand that the things that were happening to me were also happening for me, right? It wasn't like, oh, poor me being a victim. Like maybe that was the old me. Now it's like, well, you experienced this, your wisdom. What are you going to do about it? You can keep reliving it. And now that you have the acquired knowledge, are you going to be wise about how you move differently now? Are you going to speak up differently now? Are you going to, you know what I mean? So there's just so much. It all, I think, boils down to how are you using your wisdom? Because the things that happen to you that you know about only happen to you. And if we're not going to kill the old version of us that wants to keep us safe and stuck, that's actually like a brain thing. It's like a fine type of brain thing. We won't go into that. Another different name, different podcast. Like it's
I
we
didn't
won't be able
know a
to keep.
science thing.
Yeah, already know we know. So like that's all we need. We can move forward, keep it pushing. For anyone else listening, it's like that's really the transformation you have to go to. You cannot create a new life without creating a new person first. That new person has new thoughts, new habits, new routines, new friends, new environments, possibly a new job, a new lover, right? Like if we're always holding on to the pain and the old, what the F? You know what I mean? Like we're gonna be stuck. That's
Yeah.
why a lot of us are stuck.
Why?
I just don't believe in being stuck.
but you've been able to do a lot in your time, and that was your purpose. And if I say I'm going to say a word to you, and I'm going to ask you, what does that mean to you? Because we hear this word often, branding. So many people, oh, I'm protecting my brand. Everybody's a brand now. Like, but what does that really mean? That
Yeah.
not the superficial tell the audience.
Yeah, I think my definition
Tell our
definitely makes
audience.
sense now that you guys have read it, spoken on it. I really believe that branding is about
Mhm.
perception, and perception is how people see you, but I
Mm.
think it's also how you see yourself. Yeah. So for me, like branding is, yes, how people see you, but for you to be a brand and have this brand, you have to put something out into the world. And I put myself out into the world. I love black and gold. My room is black and gold. My office is black and gold. Heck, let me just throw some. Now I'm on brand, but really, I just like it. And I'm just consistent. You know what I mean? But you would see that and be like, oh, she's always wearing black. I really like black. She's always wearing white, tan. Those are the things that I like. There's no, that what makes me feel good. These colors calm me. They remind me that I can keep going for more. I can, it elevates my brain, my mind, my feeling. And so when I put that out there digitally, it's kind of the same idea. Now it's like, well, hopefully my right people are going to see this and they're going to feel like they're made for more. They're going to feel elevated. They're going to feel calm, at peace. So that's even like in my content marketing, my branding goes deep, not just like what I wear, where I live, what I do. It's like, yeah, it's nice for an aesthetic. I haven't always been an aesthetic because I liked other things before, now this is my aesthetic. I might change it next year, but I think that's where I'm going to have a rebrand because maybe I've changed. And so I really like to tie branding to the person, not just like, oh, what are your colors and, the typical definition.
Yeah, it's funny because you said your colors are black and gold, and but most people would look at black if from a branding perspective when we talk about colors and things like I had to go through the whole. All right, what colors resonate with a victory walk or where I'm going now, building the AI agency that's helping entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So I wanted the podcast to kind of mirror that and how does that look aesthetically. But when we think about black, most people think negative because we've been brainwashed. We're definitely not gonna go there. But most people think that
Yeah.
we hit black. Black is a negative thing, but it vibes with you because you have this aura about yourself, this mysterious. What have you? Yeah, you like it, like, but you come into the room mysteriously, like even when you do your lessons in the morning, it's this taken from a place, or when you have your camera crew following you into an event, it's like this space about you, so the black doesn't bring a diminishing value. It actually accents the room. Why do you think that those are your colors in this season? And have you had other colors, or when you're working with a customer, how do you forget about your other colors? When you're working with a customer, how do you help them to tap into what their colors are?
My gosh, you literally activated a part of my brain because it's like tingling. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best podcast I've ever been on.
Yep. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
going to clip that.
Yeah. It's so good. Honestly, it's to me like black, you can add or detract. Like I said, the law of polarity, up, down, left, right. So it's very inviting for both masculine and feminine. And when I think of it on like the marketing side, yes. But honestly, I really like it. That again, I don't have like a great answer. Just
That's
really
just
like it.
you.
And well, yeah. It has a lot of, because I've had a lot of trauma, I have a lot of routines that I've had to put into place to keep me
Mm.
calm and regulate my nervous system. And so, really bright colors, while I love them and I think they're beautiful, people be like, do you not like color? And I was like, I do. It just makes me feel overstimulated. And I can't create in a space where I'm overstimulated. I can't be in flow. So, I've created an environment where, yes, it looks nice. Yes, it feels rich and wealthy, but it also feels good for my energy.
And safe.
And yeah, it's safe. Like, I didn't have a lot of safe spaces growing up. So my brand and my home and my car and what I wear and my business and my body, I just learned like this gets to be a safe space. Now, for me, my thing might be safety and comfort and flow. You mentioned about my clients, theirs is going to be something else. So that's why when I work with people, I work with them on this like deep mental, like, deal, because we have to understand like what your neurons are triggering. So is first of all, are you unhappy because you know better, right? What we talked about earlier, this person over here, me, old me and new me. Are you unhappy because you haven't found new you yet, but you know kind of what that future could look like? My job is to literally bridge the gap, close the gap, and make sure that your neurons are like aligned, which sometimes creates a shift. So my company is called Alignment is a New Hustle because when I can align your mind, body, soul, right, you're able to tap into the success flow of what I've been able to do and achieve so quickly. Again, 35, top of my career at like 23, joined the military, did my 8 years, mastered a lot of different topics, spoke on stages, been on TV, been on commercials, acted, modeling. Again, that takes a certain kind of energy and that takes a certain kind of focus to reach that level of success at such a young age. And to me, also, I'm not even where I want to be. I'm like, oh, that's baby beginner. I haven't even scratched the surface. There's someone who's got a speaking role on like a well-known Netflix show. I'm not there. There's someone who's grossing $10 billion a month. I'm not there, right? But like alignment tells me to be happy where I'm at while I'm chasing for what I want, because I have to again remember in my spirituality that I'm not supposed to idolize those things. I'm not supposed to idolize fame or money. And when I again bring that, God really brings me everything I need right now. And again, for my spiritual listeners, it it's you understanding that you can hustle, hustle, hustle. Alignment's a new hustle, but you can think you're the only one, and that's fine, right? However, you're going to experience burnout. And the only thing that's going to fill your cup is for you to tap into
Is
some of
you.
your spiritual side.
Yeah.
Your spiritual side you think you
Yeah.
don't have,
It's fit.
right? You're going to have to rest.
Yeah.
And you might not pray, but you're going to want to take that freaking walk in nature, right? You're going to want to take a break. So
It's a bit.
it's
One
there's
thing
so
you.
much to it. Yeah.
So I usually ask people what their favorite books are, but I think that this question is important for us to tap into. And yes, if you're listening to me, I know I don't really get a chance to, because of the conversations that I have, talk to a lot of my people. So I feel like I'm talking to one of my people. Yeah. We're watching the news and we're seeing years of abuse. I never call out names. I'm not highlighting them. And our content, if you listen to the podcast, is not on social issues or anything like that, but it has to be spoken of. You're a 35-year-old, beautiful young lady who had a lot of, has and have had, and still continues to aspire with a lot of ambitions. When you see how the industries have taken advantage of persons that are just looking for a hand up or looking to make it. They have the talent. Well, how do we approach? Give me a blueprint as a man. And you mentioned that you've been through some traumas. How do we approach those conversations as a Black man in America without being insensitive? And then what would you say to a young lady about not selling out themselves, looking for a stage?
Yeah, I'm gonna say right off the rip, like, a friend of mine would always say that their grandma told them this: if you argue with a fool, that makes you one. And there's so many different levels to that. It can get really deep. So a lot of what I mentioned earlier too is about like the ego death. As Black people, we've been through so much. We've been through a lot that a lot of people will never
Yes.
understand. A lot of people will never ever be able to relate to that. They might try, and that's cool. But to actually go through it, and then not just you going through it, your family went through it. There's years and generations of your lineage that went through it. And so sometimes things feel a lot heavier for you. Going to school feels heavy. Like what you see in the news feels heavy. Another one of our people just died based off of misunderstanding. Where's the justice? And we can take race out of it all day. But we can't at the same time because there's a pattern and history often repeats itself. Well, as much as people want to say, like, you know, these differences are what's tearing the country apart and keeping us separate, we also have to look at the fact that some of us aren't being heard. And some of us have been speaking up for a very long time. And by the time that maybe that comes off as the angry Black woman or the insert whatever Black man, it's just it's such like a narcissistic gaslighting situation, it feels like, because it's like, well, study your history. And again, I know, keep it short because I could go into history too. That's really what society has created. And then when people are waking up to it and calling it out, it's like we're crazy or we're doing this or doing that. So what I've learned is we have the wisdom, we have the knowledge. We know when we've been wronged. We know when we were not given a fair chance due to something. What can we do differently to not hurt ourselves any further? And unfortunately, that is survival. I don't believe anyone should bow down or give in. It's just quite literally, how can you use your wisdom to correct a situation that has been wrong for, what is the word bigger than decades? Yeah, I don't know. The beginning of time.
Ever.
Like, forever.
Ever. So,
Yeah.
and I thank you for spending this hour with us, 45 minutes. Oh, man, this has been a real joy. But I'm a only male in a intermediate all female family. My mom, my aunt, my sister, my grandmother, and I had my grandfather, but he was he came on Friday. He's 50. He came in and handed everybody a couple of dollars, and so and then even though my cousin's side was female cousins, so I was like the only male that was able to sit in these rooms and be able to see the struggles that they had. I remember when my dad left, my mom sitting on the couch crying, and me being a little guy who was still in the Pampers. That was one of my first impressions of my dad, him leaving, right? And when I saw what happened with Cassie, and I'm saying what happened with her, I didn't believe her. Nobody believed her, and it's like the video had to drop, and it was like, oh, now we all believe. And for women, when I saw what happened with Kamala Harris, and then this is not a political show, convicted felons can't vote in this country. We have a convicted felon that's a president. And when I see what it is that you've accomplished, I'm proud of you. And that my daughters, I got on that Howard University sweater. I just dropped my daughter off at school.
Oh, okay.
She's
That's amazing.
yeah, she's a freshman year. She went to college as a 17-year-old Black woman with a lot of ambition, right? And when you drop them off at the gate, you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that gate. I just hope that I instilled enough in her that she know to call me. It's the wrong person on the side of the gate because she know her daddy crazy. Oh, we telling it.
We all
You can't tell me. We all need a crazy. Right. You can't tell me he ain't let my baby out. Well, no, she can't come out. Oh, okay. You think of some fires in California?
Right.
I'll go sit up for my baby. But I want to say this on record because I'm going to give you flowers off record. But I applaud what it is that you're doing. If you're not following Jodi K. Edwards, go on Instagram right now. Every morning, she gives you some tools and tips to make yourself better. And she leads with value. So when we talk about leading with value, he's not saying, "Oh, I'm giving you this, buy this." She's just giving the information about her, what she's doing or what she's experiencing, how it can help better you as a brand. And I really, really appreciate her vulnerability. She becomes vulnerable and you get to walk with her. But not only that, her website is on our landing page. So you click on the website if you need a clarity call, if you are a male or female trying to understand branding and how you're going to take your life, your business, your personal brand to the next level. Everybody talks about branding, but everybody doesn't get it right. But Jodi can help you on that journey. She's a part now of the Walk in Victory family. Listen, we don't ask you for Cash Apps or Venmos or any of those things like that. That's that the money would be okay, but that's not of substance to me. What is of substance to me is that you hit like, subscribe, and share so that these stories can get to the masses. We're giving forward. We're leading with value. I'm not selling a masterclass, although I have one. I'm not selling anything. I'm selling conversations that will help you evolve to become a better you. When I grew up in the projects, I wish somebody could set me down and had this conversation that we just had. Now you get a chance to do it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Walk in victory. Peace.